What is good, my peoples? This is Kobe2408. As always, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share if you enjoy these videos. Make sure you hit that notification button so you know when I upload new videos or when I'm live streaming. In this video, we'll talk about the new mini reworks to the lethality items that are hitting patch 7.14 on the PvE. Currently on the PvE, we're sitting at patch 7.13, so they are coming shortly. Also, there's a change to Black Cleaver, and not only that, there's going to be a mini rework to CHO'GATH's E, and we'll take a look at all those right here in this video. So here are the lethality item breakdown changes that we're going to cover in this video. Again, this is going to be hitting the PvE in patch 7.14, and the PvE is currently sitting at patch 7.13. So we're going to look at Serrated Dirk, Poacher's Dirk, the changes to those two items, and then we're going to look at the change to Duskblade, as well as the change to Ghostblade and Black Cleaver. Also, like I said, there is a mini rework to CHO'GATH's E in this patch as well, and it's well needed for Cho'GATH because after he ulties, I feel like that champion is just basically useless. So for all you Cho'GATH mains, again, you guys will be happy. I think it's a buff, but again, we'll take a look at all those in this video right now. So the first item on the list is the Serrated Dirk and Poacher's Dirk. So here's the change to these two items: removing the out of combat movement speed and instead giving it a passive where after killing a large minion, monster, or champion, your next damaging spell against a champion deals 50 bonus damage. Goals of adding a bit of optimization to its use and removing the need to put out of combat movement speed on everything it builds into. So currently on the live server, the Poacher's Dirk looks like this. One of the passives is plus 20 movement speed out of combat, and then the second passive is after poaching 3 large monsters from the enemy jungle, transforms into a Serrated Dirk. Now this change is saying that they're getting rid of the plus 20 movement speed out of combat, but then they're adding damage to the second part of the passive because they have to compensate for something since they're getting rid of one of the passives. So it looks like it will look like this. After the change, the 20 movement speed will be gone, and then the new passive will be after poaching 3 large monsters or a large minion or a champion, the next damaging spell against a champion deals 50 bonus damage, which is insane. That is a lot of damage, especially for early game. Also, you know, this probably transforms into a Serrated Dirk maybe after some time, or instead it builds into the Serrated Dirk. So there's probably a recipe. You pay like 100 gold, 200 gold, and then it builds into the Serrated Dirk. So that's the change to the Poacher's Dirk. So now we're looking at the Serrated Dirk. Now this is also changing based on the Poacher's Dirk and based on the change we just read. So right now on the live server, this is what the Serrated Dirk looks like. It has plus 10 lethality for a passive, and then the other passive is plus 20 movement speed out of combat. Now the 20 movement speed out of combat is being removed, and then the Poacher's Dirk passive, the new one that I just talked about, is being added to the Serrated Dirk. So again, they're getting rid of a lot of the movement speed out of combat on a lot of the lethality items, but they're obviously giving you damage instead, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. I think it's pretty good. A lot of early damage for a lot of these basically assassins, and so you just gotta be careful. It's probably going to become an assassin meta very shortly here, but it keeps a lot of these assassin champions good throughout the game. So the next item we are going to look at is the Duskblade. Now here is the change to Duskblade. No longer has out of combat movement speed, proc damage a flat number, so a more viable first item, has CDR and a very brief slow on application of the Night Stalker proc, think Trundle Q like, plus a cost reduction, looking to make it a reasonable alternative to Ghostblade as a first major item. So currently on the live server, this is what the Duskblade looks like. It has plus 65 attack damage, plus 15 lethality, plus 20 movement speed out of combat. One of the passives, Night Stalker, is after being unseen for at least a second, your next basic attack against an enemy champion will deal some true damage, and then the other passive is Blackout, which is just a free radar. So if you walk over a ward, you're able to see it, and you can remove it, and it also disables that ward. So what they're doing with this item is they're going to add some CDR, and I'm thinking around 10% because that's what they did with a lot of the AP items. A lot of the AP items, if you don't know, have 10% CDR, and I think that's what they're doing with a lot of these lethality items as well. They're removing the plus 20 movement speed out of combat because most assassins do take mobile boots, and as well as Swifties. So they're just allowing the assassins not to be able to close gaps as quickly, and if you're like chasing them, they can at least be caught because a lot of assassins can just run off and they're impossible to catch. And then the third and the major part of this change is the rework to the Night Stalker part. It's going to be most likely an active spell similar to Trundle's Q, which is in melee range. He bites somebody and slows them. So it's probably going to be something similar to the Blade of Ruin King, except for you have to be within melee range to activate it to slow them and do damage. So that's pretty sick. I'm really liking the change. You know, let me know in the comments below if you guys like this change or not. So the next item I want to talk about is Yumas Ghostblade. Now, some of you guys will be happy about this change and some of you guys will be a little pissed off, but here is the change that's currently happening in patch 7.14 on the PvE. More out of combat movement speed and less AD, cementing this as the strategic mobility choice. So currently on the live server, this is what Yumas Ghostblade looks like. It has plus 60 attack damage, plus 10% CDR, plus 15 lethality, plus 20 movement speed out of combat, and then a unique active where it grants plus 20% movement speed for 6 seconds. So my changes, what I'm thinking they're going to do, like they said, they're going to have more out of combat movement speed, so I think that 20 is going to go to probably 35, 40, somewhere around there, and then they're going to lower the attack damage as it states right above, so somewhere probably around 45 or 50. At least it's adding diversity to a lot of the lethality items where you just don't build Yumas Ghostblade all the time now, so you can pick and choose. Very similar to a lot of the AP items, like, do I need Zhonya's this time, or can I just keep building damage? So you know, you pick and choose. So Youmuus, I feel like, is the Zhonya's for the assassins. It is the item that helps you escape and helps you engage. Very similar to Zhonya's, just like I said. But let me know in the comments below about this change. I kind of like it. Again, a little more diversity in the lethality items, and less like I have to build this item, and then this item, because that's what most assassins are doing. They build Youmuus, they build Cleaver, and then maybe a Duskblade, and that's the 3 items that are built all the time, and there's never ever any changes to that. So again, it's adding a little more spiciness to a lot of the lethality items. So now you can pick and choose what you need, and if you need it, you build it. If you don't need it, you don't build it. So the next item I want to talk about is the Black Cleaver. Now this is a huge change if it goes through, but again, they're testing it out on the PvE in patch 7.14, and it has to do with the Black Cleaver's passive where you stack armor reduction. So this is what they're testing: an internal cooldown on how quickly you can add stacks to an opponent, 0.5 seconds at present, aiming to preserve its impact for slow and regular speed stackers, while making it less dominant on those with significantly split up physical damage. It gets stacked almost instantly. So currently on the live server, this is what the Black Cleaver looks like. It has 400 health, plus 40 attack damage, plus 20% cooldown reduction. Those things are not changing. The second unique passive, Rage, where dealing physical damage grants you 20 movement speed for 2 seconds. That's not changing either. What's changing is the first passive, where dealing physical damage to an enemy champion cleaves them, reducing their armor by 4% for 6 seconds, stacks up to 6 times, up to 24%. That is changing. So currently on the live server, again, it can stack very quickly. It can stack, you can probably get your 6 stacks within a second. And for example, MF and Lucian, where their ultimates are very quick, you can probably get the 6 stacks within a second, maybe even a half a second. I'm not sure. It's probably a second. You can get all 6 stacks very quickly, but that's going to affect champions that have a lot of attack speed that can stack the armor reduction very quickly. So what the nerf is you can only get 1 stack every 0.5 seconds. So if we do some math, let's say you can get 6 stacks within a second. For Lucian and MS ulti, for example, you can get all 6 stacks in a second. Now it will take you 3 seconds because there's an internal cooldown on the Black Cleaver. You can only get 1 stack every 0.5 seconds, so it's going to take you 3 seconds to get the 6 stacks. So regardless, if you can get 2 autos off within a half a second, it's not going to give you 2 stacks. It's only going to give you 1 stack because there's that 0.5 seconds you have to wait. So it's affecting champions that can stack it within 1 to 2 seconds, can get the full 6 stacks. So it's affecting, again, those champions or champions that have a lot of attack speed. For example, let's take Trundle now. If you don't build any attack speed on Trundle and you build Black Cleaver and your attack speed is extremely slow, it's not affecting those champions, just the ones that can stack it, again, within 1 to 2 seconds. So now let's quickly talk about CHO'GATH's mini rework to his E. He did get a rework to his ultimate, but I think he needs a little something extra because he's kind of useless after he uses his ultimate. So this is what they're thinking and testing in patch 7.14 on the PvE. They're going to make his E inactive rather than a toggle, where it empowers Cho'GATH's next 3 auto attacks with the AoE spikes that deal percentage max enemy HP as magic damage and apply a decaying slow. Cooldown's really short when leveled. Basically the goal is to make him a juggernaut and like damage profile and able to hurt beefier front lines better if they are all he can reach. So basically, right, Cho'GATH doesn't have any gap closers or anything. He has to walk up to somebody, so if he can't get to the back line, he's kind of useless. So at least with this E, it's like an active now, very similar to Rammus's, I think, E, where it's an active. I think it's his E's or his W, where it's an active, where he can press it and he goes into like turtle form and then he presses it off and he comes out of that form. But very similar to that. It's going to be good for Cho'GATH. I mean, now he can at least slow some of the, you know, frontliners instead of letting them just walk past him and get to the back line. I like the change. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But again, Cho'GATH needs something, but they can't buff Cho'GATH too much because of his ultimate just is kind of crazy. You can just flash ulti somebody if you have I don't know, like 10,000 health, because his ultimate scales on percentage health. It does percentage health damage, which is insane. So and it's all true damage, which is crazy. So anyways, that's all that I got for you guys for today. Let me know what you guys think about all these changes in the comments below. As always, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. I'm Kobe2408. Thank you for watching, and you guys stay awesome, my friends, and I'm out. Peace.